forget where the dad is at. Forget if the dad wants time with the child, because they say, well, if you want 50-50, that means you're just not trying to pay child support, right? That's what they always throw in our face. But you want the money, which will inevitably mess this kid up, because they had everything they wanted except the one thing that mattered, which was the freaking dad. We understand that the dynamic of the single mother household is ultimately a detriment to most children in the world. But there are women out there that are continuously trying to glamorize the situation or dynamic of the single mother household, especially the single mother. All right. The fact that they can still thrive, they can still have fun, they can still do things in the world with children in tow. And this woman right here that you see on the screen is one of the women that's going to try to, fantasize, if you will, the single mother. She is going to say something that will be ridiculous to most men, but to most women, they're going to think that this is still something they can do in a glamorous fashion. All right, so we're going to get into this. This is from TikTok. I'll leave a link to it in the description box. But before we get into the reaction, fair use.
I feel like the misogynists are going to eat me up for saying this, but I feel like one of the most empowering things a woman can do is be a single mother.
Let's start there.
Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
She said one of the most empowering things a woman can do is be a single mother. Now, I want you to let that marinate for just a second. Empowering. One of the most empowering things that a woman can do is put herself in this type of predicament. Now, let's hear her logic.
Aside from being child-free and never marrying, and the woman who lives a life of leisure while she's married and still remains child-free.
Now, she's putting the single mother, right, a single woman with children, as number 3 under a single woman with no children and a married woman with no children. So how is being a single mother even fair in this equation when the first 2 choices don't have children at all?
That's stupid.
Again, let's hear the logic.
I feel like third place definitely goes to single moms, but society loves to bash women.
By the way, you see the amount of, I don't know if that's makeup or lip filler, but she's obviously has some work done to her face, the contours and everything. And you see, it looks like maybe a unit, if you will, or a wig she has on. You see the line right there, the makeup line at the top of her hair right there. You see it? Definitely not hers.
He's out of line, but he's right.
With kids so much that y'all don't want to admit it. There is nothing like a one and done mom or a woman with 2 kids tops who has her own financial income, her own financial freedom, and she's thriving in life still with her autonomy.
Okay.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
Now, men, riddle me this right here. Riddle me this. Now, a woman that has her own autonomy, has her own money, right, to raise the child, being single. Now, let's flip this. I say, you know what? I'm not going to, I don't want to take care of the kid, nothing like that, but I can afford the child, right? It's like a money thing. Does that make it any better? Because you have money to afford to, take care of the child without a masculine presence. So you have the money to take care of the child, which would end up spoiling this child because you're going to try to take them on trips and get them what they want. And you're going to try to instill discipline at the same time while spoiling them. And that never works. So having money is the equivalent of being able to take care of a child. We should know this because, well, they always want us to pay child support, right? They always want all these government programs to make sure that the kid is taken care of monetarily. Meanwhile, forget where the dad is at. Forget if the dad wants time with the child, because they say, well, if you want 50-50, that means you're just not trying to pay child support, right? That's what they always throw in our face. But you want the money, which will inevitably mess this kid up because they had everything they wanted except the one thing that mattered, which was the freaking dad.
Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
Okay.
There's nothing like it. I don't care what y'all say. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I feel like the women who remain child-free and never marry, they are definitely top place. And then second place definitely goes to the women who play the game, still get married, live a life of leisure, and remain child-free.
See, this is like, it's almost all about money. So the woman that remains child-free and single, which maybe in their young age would be great, but in their older age, I mean, you like a career woman yourself, this becomes a detriment to you inevitably, right? Because the more you're by yourself, the more you probably turn to a man. You get more, I mean, and it's nothing that you're probably doing on purpose. It's inevitable. The traits that you need to be a boss out here and be single is the things that's going to be not attractive to a man when you get older. But they don't think that way. And then you're playing the game, it makes you sound like marriage is just some kind of, again, a financial come up. You're playing the game. You're being married while staying child free, which inevitably means you're just really just taking advantage of the marriage. And then having children, being single with money. Got it. If you've made it this far in the video and you're still here, thank you again for your viewership. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell, that way you can be notified whenever I go live or drop new content. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, please do so by hitting the Cash App $ Mr. Normie. And you can also go to my Ko-Fi page, ko-fi.com/workingmanmg. Also, I'm trying to build a community on Locals. So if you would, go please check out my Locals page and you can join for just $5 a month. You can post and we can build a community of like-minded working men over there. Thank you for your time. Now back to the video.
I mean, that's perfect. But we're not going to leave the single women out here who are one and done, who go and get their own money. They still have their autonomy and they still get to experience motherhood, because there are some women who genuinely want to just have kids and y'all can't bash them for that. You know what I'm saying? Women who seriously still just want to have a baby, they want to experience motherhood, we can't bash them for that.
Actually, yes, we can.
Ain't no way.
We can't bash them for
Ain't no
that.
fucking way.
Now, I will say there's nothing wrong with the urge of having a child. Not at all. The problem is that you want to go about it your own way. And that's your right to do that. But at the expense of how the child is going to be raised is the problem, because she's going to mention this, I think, here in a minute about donors. So basically, this thing that has been prevalent in our community for decades, and that's this single mother by choice thing. That I want to have kids, but like she said, you know, not wanting to have the dad or not want to have a man in the picture. I just want to have kids. I just want to be a mother, right? Without having a man in the picture, without having to deal with the man and having to deal with his, you know, leadership or quirks or whatever that is. You don't have to deal with a man, but you want to be a mother. This is the problem. Not wanting to have a child, but the way you want to bring the child into the world is what we always have a disconnect about. But again, they don't think about this. This is selfish thinking.
I feel like that's why I'm always telling women to just go get a donor. If you genuinely want children and you want to experience motherhood, go get a donor. But I always have to remember that me personally, I do not aspire to co-parent in any capacity, not even in the healthiest marriage.
There you go. She doesn't want a man. She doesn't want a man in the picture at all. She said, F them dudes. I just want to experience motherhood. I want to raise this child, be my emotional tampon. I want the hugs, I want the smiles, you know, all that kind of stuff, but I don't want a man in the picture to help me. Well, what's gonna happen is, in a few years, when this child gets, you know, a little further up in age, and those 6, 8, 9 years old, and they're starting to get testosterone, you know, they're starting to get musty about the arms, then they start testing their mother, then you're gonna be looking for a man, and guess what? Now you're gonna want a stepdaddy. Yes, this is where the stepdaddy comes in. Because you don't want a man now, but you're definitely going to want one later. And probably your finances, you'll be on the backside of your financial career by then. So then having a man make perfect sense then, right? But not now, when it should be necessary. Again, they're not thinking about this. Selfish.
I do not want to co-parent. I don't want to share a kid with a man.
Sharing a kid like you're sharing a car.
Nick, you're stupid.
Like I'm sharing my Taco Bell or something with you. Like I don't want to share a kid. Like it's an object that I own. That's not for the world, not that's gonna be in its own individual. No, I don't want to share a kid. Yeah.
That's just me though. But I highly recommend women start to get donors more when they genuinely want to be a parent. And I feel like it's the most empowering thing that women can do. Single mom by choice with a donor, I don't know. I feel like it eats.
Single mother with a donor, I feel like it eats.
Nick, you're stupid.
Well, y'all see it. Again, another testimony of single motherhood by choice. Doesn't want to share the child. That I don't want to co-parent. I want to live a life of leisure and be a mother, and that's it. And that is the story of most, unfortunately, this is the story of a lot of black women in the black community and women in general in 2025, all right? You see it, okay? And with that being said, thank you for attending another episode of the Working Man Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas J. Fury. Let me know what you think about this woman and her idea, her top 3 list of women of success and empowerment down in the comment section, all right? And please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and we're out of the door. And remember, men, you heard it, what she said, right? You heard it. Reality checks are free. See you next time.